Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's regularly scheduled meeting of the Freeport City Council. It's Monday, December 1st, 2025 at 6 p.m. I will declare that a quorum is present and officially call this meeting to order. At this time, I would like to ask Councilman Rosso to lead us in both the pledge and the prayer.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we're so grateful that you brought us to this place for this time. Pray, Lord, that you would bless this meeting, bless everyone under the sound of my voice, Lord. We thank you, Lord, that you're such a great God, and we depend on you, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, and you may be seated. Nice to see this big crowd tonight, fighting the weather. Thank you. First off, we have audience participation or citizens' comments, like some of us like to call it. The first one we have is Mr. Thomas Cool.
How y'all doing, City Council?
Doing well, sir. Yourself?
Mr. Mayor, can I pass y'all some pictures I want y'all to look at? And
Absolutely.
y'all can keep them too. This picture of the stop signs on Fourth. Okay. My name's Thomas Cole. I'm a lifelong resident of Freeport, Texas. You know, last time I might have spoke a little fast. I was born with a speech impairment, so I have trouble pronouncing words. So I'm gonna try to slow down. Okay. Well, I want to know why isn't anything being done about the residents want a four-way stop there at that intersection of Pecan Street and 4th Street. 23 crashes in the last 10 years. Talked to the residents there on 4th Street. They said throughout the years they've seen more. I could only go back so many years on FOIA. So they even told me about an accident where a person on a bicycle got hit at that intersection. It was bad. Okay, I found out through FOIA there's 8 tow calls where the vehicles had get towed away. Okay. One of them stop signs they installed is already don't even work right. As you see in the pictures. One of the lights don't do. The other one on the other side, it's a different kind of light at stop sign, but it flashes when it wants. You know. It don't work right. Then it'll go like fast. All right. Public Works told me they paid over $6,000 for them stop signs. That's a waste of taxpayer money. We're paying for that, not the city of Freeport, the taxpayers, the residents of Freeport. You know. On Avenue J and Skinner, I got another light at the stop sign. It's fixing to fall off the pole. There's only one bracket holding it on. And it don't work. Y'all got one on Avenue M in Yellowstone at a 3-way stop, and it don't work. The only one I found working is the one on Avenue O in Yellowstone. You know? I seen where the city had lighted stop signs on Avenue A and Velasco Boulevard. They stopped working. You haven't had them lighted signs going up that bridge right there on Velasco Boulevard. They didn't work long either. You know, and I'm thinking, the city has favoritism. It's crazy that 2 ex-mayors of the city of Freeport have 4-way stop signs on the corner where they live. Another one, his block's only 3 blocks long. He's got speed bumps every intersection. There's no traffic going where they live. I'm not going to name the address just for the safety of the people there. Okay, where am I at? fast. Okay, we pay for them, like I said. Residents literally avoid that intersection on 4th and Pecan because they fear for the wellness. All the accidents happen there and they're bad, you know? Y'all make sure the 288 here in Velasco Boulevard's lit up and painted where the lights are supposed to have white stripe. Why? Because the Port of Freeport, LNG, and other industries used to, you know, they get tax breaks. We pay taxes, you know. Freeport used to be an awesome place to live. And it ain't now. We voted y'all into office and we expect y'all to make the right decision for the well-being of the residents. 4th and Pecan Street is a very busy roadways 7 days a week. Let's do something. I guess my time's up.
Thank you, sir.
No, thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Manning Rollerson.
Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Council, my name is Manning Rollerson. I live at 118 West 6th Street, Freeport, Texas. I'm come to the council today because there's two things that I want to tip on. One is that what is the policy of our officers? That's one serious one I want to tip on because do y'all remember Robert Woodard? And I came and addressed this council about the statement that he made that policeman knocked his teeth out his mouth. Mr. Shanks died right there on 2nd Street. They found him dead in the back of his truck. He was homeless. Then you found another dead homeless person in our park not too long ago. But we had an officer, two officers that I videotaped over the weekend during the holidays, was talking to two homeless people and made the statement to the homeless people that they are parasites on the city of Freeport, Texas. That's unaccountable. That's unaccountable. That's not right. They are here to serve and protect. When I swore an oath and I joined the military, I swore an oath to the Constitution of the United States of America to defend this country from enemies, foreign and domestic. They swear an oath to protect the people. I don't care if they're rich or poor. You do not tell nobody they are parasites because they're homeless. Ain't no righteousness in that. Also want to hit on $1.26 billion that was invested into this industry that we call Dow Chemical and every industry in this community. $1.26 billion. 57 years. City of Freeport, Texas. Where is the tax return on our dollar that was promised by this government of Freeport for the last 57 years? Where's our communities? Why did Surfside owe us $1 million that they just paid off that was addressed in a public meeting? 57 years of being taxed by the government of Freeport and there's no return. Our communities in shutters. The black community was taken illegally by the port. That was illegal. The 14th court said it was illegal. There was no clear path. Y'all didn't fight for us. Y'all was a part of it. That's what my 5th Circuit Court states. The city was involved in it the whole time. So how can I have trust that you're going to bring communities? How can I have trust that the homeless is safe when you guys was a part of what happened to us on the east end by the Port of Freeport? It's got to change, fellas. We need communities. We need housing. And you're not doing anything until you bring housing in Freeport, the promises that you made to the citizens of Freeport. Because every vote that was voted by Bass and every other administration was to bring housing in this community. That's how they got the property. So I expect to see the housing. But then we're going to have to see about legal actions on every voted on bringing housing in this community. Because Jason Wong said he was bringing housing. He didn't. Right in here. Both times. So the city need to be accountable to its residents and do better with our tax dollars. Look at $500 million, $240 million. In 57 years, why is Freeport the way it is? And let's not talk about other governments, because you are responsible now. Bring our homes.
Thank you, Mr. Rollerson. Next, we have Miss Margaret Bachman. You've signed up for 3J and 3K. Do you want to wait until then, or do you want to speak about them now? Yes, ma'am. Miss Melanie Oldham, same situation. You can speak now or later, however you want to do it.
Good evening, Melanie Oldham, 531 West Brazos. I'm going to go ahead and speak briefly to items, I'm sorry, my glasses here, 3J and 3K, because I don't know if I'll be here at the very end. But I saw this afternoon. It's very confusing. I picked up the handouts, and it sounds like there's going to be discussion on amending 2022-2672, and I was trying, and both of them, though, at the top say ordinance number 2025, but one has 10 items, the other one has 9. So maybe I'm reading it wrong, but it's very confusing. But y'all going to discuss amending, it looks like section 3 and 9. And on 3, it looks to compare them, that there's more, it just basically says any request made by the mayor or councilman above must be submitted with supporting documents, agenda memo form, and then they added include sufficient information for council to clearly understand the issue to be discussed. That's the only difference I see on that one. But then on 9, the 9s are different, but on this one, it says, if any item is placed on city council agenda for action and such item is defeated by vote or inaction, that item may not be reintroduced to a future council agenda for 3 months unless requested by the mayor or another single council member who did not sponsor the original item. So does that mean, say, if Mr. Matamoros, example, put on the agenda about discussion of urban renewal, it gets discussed thoroughly, voted down, then say Mr. Winston could request it be on the next city council meeting, and then the same with Mr. Davis. I know you can't answer me, but to me, that's not the way to do it. But maybe when you get to the point, the workshops or whatever, or when you get to that item, I can hear the discussion. But one item sounds like it might be a good thing. The other one, I don't understand how that could work, because when we're here, the public, we listen thoroughly, we get a chance to make our comments, we hear all the discussion of the city council, thoroughly discussed, and then y'all vote on it. So I don't know how by the next meeting it needs to come up again. And Councilman Rosso, a lot of times has to be the deciding vote. So anyway, I just wanted to, I don't thoroughly understand it, but thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Oldham. Next, we have Miss Maria Lopez.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and members of the community. I am pleased to share an update on our upcoming Christmas on Main, a tree lighting event we hope will grow into a yearly tradition for Freeport. My name is Maria Lopez. I'm the Main Street Coordinator. This celebration has come together through true collaboration. We are grateful to Texas Gulf Bank for sponsoring 100 dozen tamales, and we'll also be offering free churros during the first 2 hours of the event. Families can enjoy a visit with Santa, along with several photo opportunities throughout downtown. Our tree lighting ceremony will take place at 6:30 p.m., and I want to highlight an important contribution. The Freeport Economic Development Corporation generously funded the Christmas tree that will stand as the centerpiece of the evening. Their support reflects the continued commitment to investing in and bringing new life to our downtown. Throughout the event will feature performances, local dancers, and a choir, and more than 30 vendors will line historic downtown with food, gifts, crafts, and boutiques. This event is truly a team effort. We want to recognize the volunteers who are helping making it possible, the Freeport Student Council, Freeport Police Department, and our Main Street Board. Their time, service, and enthusiasm are what makes community events like this successful. A special thank you to all the staff involved in making this event happen. We've already seen strong interest on social media, with residents excited about what Freeport is planning for the holiday season. Christmas on Main will join a full weekend of activities, including Holiday on the Brazos and Pancakes with Santa, each adding something special to the celebration. Mayor and Council, Christmas on Main is about more than festive activities. It represents our ongoing efforts to bring people together, strengthen community pride, and support the revitalization of our historic downtown. When families gather for the tree lighting, it reinforces the sense of connection, what makes Freeport a wonderful place to call home. We invite you to join us and take part in this tradition. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to celebrating Christmas on Main with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez, and we're looking forward to it. Mr. Bachman, I got your registration to speak. We have an unwritten rule, and I'm just looking right now to make sure it is unwritten, that we need these by 6 o'clock. And it is not written on here, so I will encourage in the future to have some verbiage on there that we'd like to have it by 6. I'm trying to keep an even playing board. Thank you, sir. Next item is 2A, upcoming events.
Mayor and Council, to remind everybody, City Hall's closed on the 16th. There's mandatory training for all the employees that take place on that day. Next, we have Holiday on the Brazos at Freeport Municipal Park, December the 5th, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Next, there's Blue Santa Pancake Breakfast at Freeport River Place that takes place every year, December 6th, from 8 a.m. to 11. Christmas on Main Street that Maria just talked about, the historic downtown, December 6th from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. We have the Senior Citizens Christmas Party at River Place on December the 15th from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. And last is the city manager welcoming at the River Place December 16th, and just a correction on the times, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Thank you, sir. Looks like it's going to be a busy December. Council, we have agenda item 3A, which is the consent agenda. The only thing on the consent agenda, well, it's not the consent agenda, it's just consideration of possible action improving the minutes of November 5th, 2025 and November 17, 2025.
Mayor, I'm going to make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Matamoros. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Rosso. Any discussion on this, gentlemen? Hearing none, I will call the vote. All those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed state nay.
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1. Agenda item 3B, consideration and possible action approving resolution number 2025-3001, appointing members to the Board of Adjustments. Mr. Harris.
Good afternoon, council, citizens of the city of Freeport. The agenda item here is consideration, of course, for possible action approving the resolution appointing members of our boards of adjustments. The item summary is the item considers a resolution to formally acknowledge the resignation of John Standridge, whose term was set to expire on May 31st of 2027, and to remove Mr. Eric Hayes from his alternate member position due to a conflict with his service on the Planning and Zoning Commission. The Boards of Adjustment recommends the following actions: to appoint Thomas Pearson as a full member to fill current vacancy, appoint Con McCleister as an alternate member to replace Eric Hayes, to remove James Gossett Jr. due to multiple absences, and appoint Margaret Bachman. The background information, board member John Standridge submitted his resignation prior to the end of his term. The city council is being asked to formally accept this resignation and to fill the resulting vacancy. Alternate member Eric Hayes currently serves on the Planning and Zoning Commission, creating a conflict that requires removal from the Board of Adjustments, a role as stated in the resolution. Additionally, the Board of Adjustments has determined that James Gossett Jr. should be removed from excessive absences impacting quorum, reliability, and board functionality. The special consideration is appointments to the Board of Adjustments require that newly selected members take oath of office before participating in hearings as required by state law and outlined in the resolution. Staff's recommendation is staff recommends the acceptance of the resignation of board member John Standridge, removal of alternate board member Eric Hayes, and approval of Board of Adjustments recommendations to appoint Thomas Pearson as a full member and Con McCleister as an alternate member to fill the unexpired terms ending May 31st of 2027. And also our applicants that we have are present here today as required before council. Again, I'd like to thank them for just volunteering in their participation and doing their part, again, to help strengthen the city of Freeport. We're much gratitude for the Boards of Adjustments to have them here today. Would you like me to introduce them, or do everybody know who they are?
Yeah, I would like to, first off, thank you, Mr. Harris. We actually have 5 applicants for this position, and I appreciate the board making recommendations to the council.
Yes, sir.
I encourage that to happen every time. The 5 applicants that have applied are Mr. Tom Pearson, Ms. Margaret Bachman, Mr. Greg Bartosh, Mr. Con McCleister, and Mr. Landis Adams. Those that are here, if you would like to come up and give us a couple minutes speech, tell us a little bit about yourself, why you feel like you're going to benefit the board in this position. Mr. Pearson.
I'm Tom Pearson, 110 South Front Street. I've been Freeport about 80 years now, and I just thought I'd try to help out on some of these boards with the zoning and old dilapidated buildings and things like that. That's basically what it is. I have to learn exactly what goes on with the Board of Adjustments, but I appreciate the vote.
All right. Thank you, sir. Miss Margaret Bachman.
Good evening. My name is Margaret Bachman. I reside at 96 Dolphin Lane. I'm currently an alternate on the Board of Adjustments and have been for a while now, and I'm just wanting to switch over to be a full-time so I'm no longer an alternate. I feel that the Board of Adjustments is real important. Not that we vote from our hearts, but sometimes we have to vote against our hearts, and we have to vote for what we feel is best for the city, which is not always our personal preference, and sometimes it's rather difficult, but that's what I'm there for, is to vote for what is best for the city of Freeport.
Thank you very much. Is Mr. Greg Bartosh here? Mr. Con McLeister?
Chairs are a bit rough. Yeah, have been to meetings, come to these meetings now for the last 5 to 6 years, and constantly you're asking people to come and help on these boards. My background has been in real estate. I worked for Harris County Appraisal District for the last 27 years before I retired, and moved down here. And I've been here now since 2017. And I would like to help out, help the community move forward. I see a lot of things that can happen. That's about it.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
And I believe I saw Mr. Adams. Landis?
Not as tall as him, so I gotta bring the mic down. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you tonight. My name is Landis Adams, and I'm here to express my interest in serving the City Board of Adjustments. As a property owner in Freeport, I have direct vested interest in the growth, stability, and long-term success of our community. I understand firsthand the importance of fair, consistent, and well-reasoned decisions when it comes to variances, special exceptions, and zoning interpretations. These decisions shape not only individual properties, but the future character and economic potential of our city. In addition to being a property owner, I bring over 20 years of professional experience in areas directly aligned with the mission of the Board of Adjustments. My background includes serving as an economic development director, owning and operating my own business for 2 decades, and working closely with zoning regulations, land use planning, and community growth strategies. These roles required me to interpret city ordinances, evaluate development proposals, and balance the interests of property owners with the broader goals of community well-being. Through this experience, I've developed a strong appreciation for the importance of zoning integrity, while also understanding that these are times when flexibility is necessary to encourage responsible development, support local businesses, or resolve unique property challenges. I believe I can contribute to the board by making balanced, thoughtful decisions that respect both the letter of the law and the unique circumstances of each case. If selected, my commitment to the council and to the citizens of Freeport is simple. I will approach every application fairly, with transparency, and with a deep respect for the responsibility entrusted to this board. My goal is always to help move Freeport forward, protecting property rights, encouraging smart growth, and ensuring that our zoning decisions support the prosperity of our city. Thank you so much for considering my application, and I'll be honored to serve. Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. Council, who is the liaison
Mayor, I
to the
am.
Board of Adjustments? Then you get the honor of making the first motion.
I do have a quick question for
Yes, sir.
Mr. Duncan.
Mr. Duncan said he was hoping not to have to talk tonight.
Sorry. On the Board of Adjustments, do you have to be a resident of the city?
Actually, you do not. In the, if you look in the city charter, when it sets forth the planning and zoning, it says planning and zoning board members must be a resident of the city. And then directly following that, there's the section of the city charter that says Board of Adjustments, and it just says council appointed. Does not have the requirement of residency. It just says requirement under 211.008 of the Texas Local Government Code, which which does not have a residency requirement, so it's not, residence is not required.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Okay.
I was just going to give clarity that, yes, Mr. Landis Adams is a Lake Jackson resident. Make sure everybody was aware of that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Harris. Okay, so the first nomination I'm going to make is Mr. Thomas Pearson to fulfill the unexpired term that ends in May 31st, 2027.
So we have a motion on the floor to appoint Mr. Thomas Pearson to fill the vacancy that expires on May 2027. Is there a second? I will second it. Any discussion on this, gentlemen? Hearing none, I will call the vote. All those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed state nay.
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 Motion carries 3-2. Looking for a second motion, gentlemen.
Is that a full position spot? The second one? Is it two?
We have two, we have an alternate and a full.
So we
Yeah.
doing,
Go ahead, go ahead.
Is there a motion,
I'll
gentlemen?
make a motion, if there's a full-time position,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to appoint Landis Adams for full-time.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Davis, seconded by Councilman Rosso, to appoint Mr. Landis Adams as the full-time to fulfill the term to May of 2026. We got a second by Councilman Rosso. Any questions or discussion on this, gentlemen?
Yeah, quick question here. So, the consideration for both of these positions were advertised, and all of the applicants got their applications in time for these two positions here this evening? That's a question. Mr. Harris, maybe?
This was posted, correct?
Okay.
Was posted. Yes, sir.
When was the deadline for the Board of Adjustments?
I'm sorry.
When was the deadline for applications?
Mr. Harris, can you get by the mic?
Sure, sorry about that.
Thank you, sir.
I don't have a specific date on the deadline. I know that we adhered to the post.
Yeah, I was just curious what the post had said, on the social media post, I presume,
Yes, sir.
and what the deadline on that post was?
I don't have that information, but I can get it to you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Are you responsible for that post, or is there somebody else on City Hall staff that's
My
responsible?
staff.
Okay, your
Yes,
staff. Okay. On the City of Freeport's Facebook page?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious, maybe this is a more general question here. Who's responsible for that particular page, or who has access to make updates to it?
Well, it's not so much the page, is that the draft comes from my staff, and then we get it to the city secretary and to our IT person to assist us on getting it posted.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that the deadlines were met. If that's the case, then great.
Yes, sir.
I don't have any other further questions.
Council, any other questions or comments? You know, I would like to say, I think Landis or Mr. Adams would be beneficial on the Board of Adjustments. However, I also feel like Ms. Bachman, who has been an alternate for, as she said, a long time, I personally feel like she's served her time and also deserves a full-time position.
And Mayor, I do agree with you. Ms. Bachman has attended every meeting faithfully and has filled in numerous times as a as the alternate to make sure that there was enough members to at least have a quorum. So, yeah, I do agree with you on that.
All right, so gentlemen, I'll call the vote.
Is she still on, is she still an alternate?
She's
Does that-
still
does that-
on as
does
an
that take her
alternate,
off?
that's correct.
That don't take her off as an alternate, does it?
That would, we would have to appoint her, I assume, as an alternate if the vote carries.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
So she's
she's
still an
already,
alternate.
so that don't take her off as an alternate, right? So she's still. be an
Legal
alternate.
shaking his head, no.
She'll still be an alternate, okay. Well, I'm just, letting it known, as the residents got up there and, the city of Freeport, we're looking for, experienced people. And not saying that she wasn't, but, I mean, sounds like Landis had a lot of experience in going on into this type of board that we have. And, think we need all of them more experienced, people to be on these boards. So, I mean, she's still on there. I'm not, that's why I was making sure it's not taking her off or nothing, but, I just think Lance had a lot of experience and he had a good resume. So that's why I chose Lance.
Council, any other questions or comments?
I just wanted to add that, yeah, just in terms of hearing everybody speak, the 2 decades of experience and involvement here in the community was pretty legitimizing, in addition to all the experience that I know that Landis has been involved with in the city with Fishing Fiesta and all the various events here in the city. So I know that a lot of those events that he's been involved with, in the years that he's been involved with, have been pretty stellar. So that's my consideration.
Any other questions or comments, gentlemen? Hearing none, the motion is to appoint Mr. Landis Adams in Mr. James Gossett's position with the term expiring on 5/26. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
All opposed state nay.
Nay.
Motion carries, and nay myself. Motion carries 3-2. So with that being said, Ms. Bachman, continue to do what you do.
I guess my 6 months didn't count for anything, Mr. Davis.
No, it did. I very much appreciate your 6 months. Well, I'm sorry that you feel that way.
All right.
Mayor, I'm going to make a motion to approve Mr. Con McLeister as alternate to replace Eric Hayes.
Instead of Ms. Bachman?
No, Ms. Bachman's already an alternate. We need to have 2 alternates.
Oh, I got you. So we have a motion on the floor to appoint Mr. Con McLeister as alternate to replace Mr. Eric Hayes. That motion was made by Councilman Matamoros. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Davis. Any discussion on this, gentlemen?
Yeah, I like Mr. McLeister's experience there with the county at the appraisal district. I think that'll be valuable for the Board of Adjustments.
I hate to say, I didn't hear what I... Cool. Any other questions or comments, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed state nay. That one carries unanimously. So, for the record, Mr. Pearson is fulfilling the vacancy that expires 5/31/27. Mr. Landis Adams is filling the vacancy that expires 5/31/26. And Mr. Con McLeister is our new alternate replacing Eric Hayes. Thank you, Mr. Harris.
Thank you very much.
Agenda item 3C, consideration and possible action by City Council approving the sale of trust property within the city limits located at Freeport Town Site, Block 70, Lot 7, being known as 4200-0653-000 in the Brazoria County tax records. Ms. Kramer.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Before you on the agenda tonight is an offer to purchase trust property located at 407 West 7th. The Brazoria County Resale Committee met on October the 28th, 2025, and accepted an offer of $14,188.33. Okay, so that's where we end being straightforward. This one's very different compared to ones we've had in the past. There was a calculation error with Brazoria County Tax Office, and our outstanding liens was included into the court costs. And usually it's not done exactly that way. But I talked to the tax attorney, and he said this time they will allow it. So if you approve the sale of trust property tonight, we will recover those $9,000 some odd dollars in cost. And if it had been done correctly, we wouldn't be receiving that money. So I encourage you to, let's try to get these liens satisfied. It's 1 demo and 3 mowing.
And get it back on the tax roll.
Get it back on the tax roll.
Council, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilman Pena. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Davis. Any discussion, questions, or comments, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed state nay. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Ms. Kramer.
Mayor, real quick, Mr. Pearson has a question about what we just voted on the previous agenda item.
If I can get him to speak with Mr. Harris.
Okay.
Agenda item 3D, consideration and possible action approving the chief of police to enter into MOU with the SPCA of Brazoria County. Chief Allen.
Good evening, Mayor, Council.
Good evening.
We have had partnership with the SPCA for a number of years regarding utilizing them with our shelter. However, we've worked some different partnerships here over the past couple of years where we've had them attend with our National Night Out, where they've offered, free microchipping or discounted microchipping, free rabies. One of the other partnerships that we are now looking to go into is an actual, what's referred to as a TNR program, and that's trap, neuter, release. Due to the large feral cat population that we've had here in the city, even though we try to combat that from catching the cats, taking them to the shelter, we also would still like to try to combat it as far as being able to catch cats, get them neutered or spay to help reduce on the population that's growing for the city. So this MOU, if you will be something new. We're going to be kind of the first one that the SPCA is going to go into partnership on this with. For right now, this is not going to be at any expense to the city. We're going to start off into the program. The vet at the SPCA has been working closely with our animal control officer, and they've kind of developed out a plan to try this for the next 6 to 12 months, see the success of it, and then once we kind of see how the success of it goes, then we'll do another reevaluation.
Thank you, Chief. For those that are in the audience or listening at home that do not understand what MOU stands for, can you explain that one more time?
MOU is a memorandum of understanding, and basically what it is an agreement between the two organizations. So this would be an agreement with the police department and the SPCA to work on this partnership together.
Thank you, Chief. With that, council, what is your pleasure?
Mayor, I'm going to make a motion to approve as presented.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Matamoros. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Councilman Pena. I seen Councilman Rosso try to jump up there. Any questions or comments, gentlemen?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
Chief, this is strictly for cats?
Yes, sir. So for the city, you know, we just have such a large feral cat population. Like I said, since my arrival, I know it's become a complaint several times in citizen comments. And even though we do try to continuously keep traps out to be able to capture them, it's still a lot on keeping up with them. Sometimes people go and adopt a cat or get a cat from someone else, and they don't get it spayed or neutered, then that population keeps growing.
So how will that work? Will there be SPCA, I guess, vehicles roaming the streets, or will that be through animal control?
So that would be through our animal control. What we're going to do is the day before the surgery, we would set the traps out. Once we set the traps out, then they would bring those animals in. They would do the surgery that day then. If it is a neuter, they will take animals the day of if we capture any for a neuter, which is for a male cat, because their recovery time's a lot quicker than for a female cat for a spay. But it will be in partnership with our animal control and then also the SPCA employees both.
Now, will these days where they're doing the neutering and the spaying, will that be like a community outreach event where basically residents can bring their pets as well?
No, sir. This would be strictly for feral population.
What if a resident brings a feral cat?
And so it's only going to be if we capture the cats.
Only if you capture it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do we have a projection of the number of cats we're looking at for the year? Or at least what we're hoping to achieve?
No, like I said, this is going to be something new, so we're just going to kind of see for the next 6 to 12 months how the success of the program goes. I was a part of this program that we had from my old agency. We had what was referred to as an animal birth control clinic and the Heart of Texas Feral Cat Association, that they did grant opportunities like this, would get sponsorships and would come into cities, could apply for a grant to be able to, again, be at no cost to the city. But right now, this is nothing that's running through a grant. The SPCA is just, you know, going to be, the doctor's going to be using his time and his equipment to be able to help with this just because of the massive amount of cats that we've been bringing in.
Do we have a count on what we did this last year in terms of feral cats caught?
No, sir. I put the monthly number on y'all's reports each month, and I did the annual total back in January, but I won't do it until January again this coming year.
Thank you, Chief. No further questions. It sounds like a good program.
Council, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed state nay. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Agenda item 3E, consideration and possible action approving the chief of police to enter into a MOU with the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office and Texas DPS. Chief?
So at each of your desks and everything, you were actually provided an updated MOU that I received today. I emailed that to you as well, and then the city secretary was kind enough to also get some copies made available for the public. So with House Bill 33 that came about with the Uvalde Strong Act, it set about certain guidelines for DPS and the sheriff's office to kind of lead the way, if you will. And so Brazoria County Sheriff's Office has already started that process with DPS. This MOU that was provided is one that DPS has created. They have made some modifications to it, but is going across to all the agencies here in Brazoria County. And as it explains, it's just part of as far as critical incidents for, you know, different types of trainings, planning that occur regarding school shootings.
And this is specifically aimed towards school shootings?
Yes, sir. And like I said, this will be a part of the planning, the training, kind of the preparation, you know, of if that event does happen. And so the MOUs have to be set in place and submitted and everything to the state before January 1st of 2026.
Council, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Pena. Is there a second?
A second.
A second by Councilman Davis. Any discussion needed on this, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed state nay. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 3F, consideration and possible action approving resolution number 2025-3002, deeming property surplus and donating to another city.
So as many of you may remember, you might have previously seen what's referred to as the old shoebox car. It's a 1951 Ford that was, I'm not sure the exact year that it was that the police department obtained it, but it was previously done under Chief Garavay. He had the car that he utilized for some of the city events, National Night Out, parades, displays, and different things of that nature. When I arrived here at the end of 2022, that vehicle had been in an accident from a previous incident, and it was with a mechanic in order to get it repaired, but obviously due to the year, there was some difficulties he was having to be able to get parts to get it repaired, and then there was going to be some higher associated cost with it. And so at the time, I felt like just coming in that I needed to kind of analyze the needs of the department over a show vehicle, if you will. And so we just took the vehicle back in our possession. It's been down at the service center. Due to, again, placing other priorities, I haven't had the car repaired. But Chief Garavay is now over at the city of Kemah. The city of Kemah has requested for the vehicle and would take on all responsibilities to be able to have that vehicle repaired. And then, of course, they'd want to have, for Kemah placed on the vehicle so that they can use for some of the different community events that they sponsor.
Council, is there a motion?
Mayor, I'm going to make a motion to deem the property surplus and donate it to another city as presented.
We have a motion to approve the donation by Councilman Matamoros. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Rosso. Any questions or comments, gentlemen?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
Chief, you said that the vehicle had been in an accident before,
Yes, sir.
and that's what's caused it to be malfunctional?
Yes, sir.
What kind of accident was it in?
That I don't recall. Like I said, that was all prior to my arrival. There was body damage to it and some mechanical both.
And so they're just going to take the vehicle as is?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So again, this wouldn't be any type of cost.
Any
to the
historical
city.
significance on that vehicle to the city of Freeport?
No, sir. It was a vehicle actually that when Chief Garavay was here, that he had brought the vehicle over. I'm not sure if he personally donated it or if he just sought the individual that had it donated, but it didn't have an actual historical value to Freeport at the time. It was created for the imaging of it, if you will.
I'm just curious if it was important historically then to acquire it, why we would not want to, I guess, retain it and have it in our museum.
Again, like I said, it doesn't have any actual historical value to Freeport. It is an older vehicle, but like I said, to me, placing the priority and placing that money into it, I just felt like the department had more important needs than that.
All right, no further questions. Thank you, Chief.
No, sir, it was donated. Council, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed state nay. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Chief. Agenda item 3G, consideration and possible action approving resolution number 2025-3003 to approve remodeling the clubhouse bathrooms. Mr. Pennington.
Mayor and council, you can look in the packet. There's some pictures of the bathrooms. They're in pretty bad shape. This resolution is just to approve the purchase and installation of the restroom renovations at the Freeport Golf Course clubhouse, including the complete refurbishment of both the men and women's restrooms. You can see in the attached proposals, the total cost is $26,000 and some change. The improvements to the facility will modernize the outdated bathrooms that will improve their ADA accessibility and enhance their overall experience of the golf course patrons and the employees.
Thank you, sir. I wish we could do more out there, but we've got to start somewhere, right?
Amen.
Council, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Matamoros. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Rosso. Any questions or comments on this, gentlemen?
Yeah, was this particular item on the budget for the year?
No, that's why it's here.
Any other questions or comments?
And of the 3 bids, bottom dollar carpet was the lowest bid?
I believe they were about $1,300 more, but they're a local vendor, the other vendor, and the local vendor had also, bottom dollar, had done some other work out the golf course. The other vendor had not been used before, and so I just thought best value was to use the same company that's done work out there.
What's the rule on the law? Are we supposed to take the lowest bid?
No. Best value.
When is that rule applied?
I don't know
Or
what
applicable?
rule you're talking about.
For municipal contracts, if there's, I thought there was a rule that if
No.
we had to take the lowest bid. I wasn't
No,
sure if
that's
this fell
incorrect.
into that.
Yeah, that's incorrect.
Can we get an answer from legal?
Mr. Pennington is correct, best value.
No further questions, thank you.
Thanks, sir. Thank you, gentlemen. Any other questions or comments? I will call the vote. All those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed state nay.
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1. We have agenda item 3H. Consideration and possible action to approve resolution number 2025-3004 to authorize approval of individual project order IPO 2025-03 with Kimley Horn and Associates Incorporated. Mr. Pennington.
Mayor and council, this is for an engineering evaluation and an opinion for that intersection that Mr. Cool has been talking about. Based on the traffic code, this kind of evaluation is necessary. We can't just go plant stop signs as much as we'd like to. Sometimes we just have to go through a process. I understand it's tedious and can be frustrating at times to citizens, but anyway, this is to get that party started, to say.
The first step.
Yes, sir.
Council, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Pena. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Councilman Davis. Any questions or comments on this, gentlemen?
I just want to make the comment that this here was, I guess, a result of Mr. Cool making comments here at the city council meetings. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, I'm glad that that we've responded here. I'm not sure how Mr. Cool feels about the responsiveness, but I want to assure Mr. Cool, and for that matter, all the other residents out there, that this is a perfect example of see something, say something, and have your council respond with a resolution that actually aims to address and fix the problems. So I want to thank Mr. Cool for speaking out consistently, persistently, and insistently. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilman.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I want to piggyback off that. First of all, yeah, I want to thank Mr. Cool for, speaking up and speaking out, being a concerned citizen. Appreciate you, Dan, for getting right on top of that.
Yes, sir.
And, want them to, hopefully they understand, that it is a process, and, that wasn't the first step. The first step, we put the stop signs out there. I mean, I know you say, well, that wasn't what, but that was something to try to get the attention of the people while we go through the process, So we put the stop signs out, doing the survey, and then we'll see, if we can take care of the four-way stop or not. But I seen him mention the stop bars. Could we take a note down and get them painted too, the stop bar?
Yeah, I don't see why we can't. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing moves fast in city government. Everything is a process. Council, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed state nay. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have agenda item 3I, consideration and possible action approving resolution number 2025-3005 to allow assignment of a tax abatement agreement. Mr. Duncan.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, so back in, effective date back in June of 2024, the city and the county had granted tax abatement to the Volkswagen project. That project is owned by Port of Freeport, and then they have a sub-landlord, a company under the port that administers the lease, and then the lease is to Volkswagen. That middleman landlord, the company sold out to a different company. In our agreement that we signed, I think it was back in 22, but it didn't start until 24 once they started the project. We're required to allow assignment of this agreement to other people, assuming that Volkswagen is still there, still operating, still complying with the other terms of the agreement, which they are. And so I would recommend that the council approve the transfer. I believe we're legally required to, and also the county has similarly they've already transferred the agreement. So my recommendation is that council approve this transfer.
Council, is there a motion?
Mayor, I'm going to make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-3005 as presented.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Matamoros. Is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by Councilman Davis. Any questions or comments, gentlemen?
This is strictly a formality at this point. We're legally obligated to do so, is that right, Mr. Duncan?
That's correct.
So by disallowing its passage is not really upending anything, is that right?
Correct.
All right, no further questions, thank you.
And being that this was written into the original contract, I feel like it was probably expected. Any other questions or comments, gentlemen? Hearing none, I will call the vote. All those in favor state aye. Aye. All opposed state nay. Motion carries unanimously. That brings us to agenda item 3J. Discuss and take possible action to amend resolution number 2022-2672, section 9. Ordinance number 2025-2742. Before we go any further, Ms. Bachman.
Good evening, Margaret Bachman, 96 Dolphin Lane.
Good evening.
just like Melanie Oldham, I was a little confused by some of the paperwork on this. Near as I can tell, we're trying to eliminate the 3-month restriction. And I believe that once an agenda item has been defeated, that the ability to reintroduce it prior to that 3-month limits the effectiveness of council by debating the same issue without new information. If an agenda item really is for the benefit of Freeport, I feel that another city councilman or the mayor would put it back on the agenda within, and we wouldn't need to remove this 3-month restriction. This will only add to the length of city council meetings, which have been entirely too long recently, and will reduce the amount of time to discuss any new issues that we have. And I believe that it is a poor use of our city time and our city resources. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Pena, this is your agenda item, so if you would like to read the... You have 1 minute and 14 seconds.
After looking at the 2022 and this proposal to amend it, I agree, this is very, I don't understand it. I don't think it's appropriate, because that would mean just because one councilman that put it on the agenda didn't like the outcome after thorough discussion by the public and the city council, then they could ask another councilman, hey, please put it on there. So I don't think it's a good idea.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Pena.
Yeah, this particular agenda item here, is it 3I? No, it's 3J. I'm on the wrong one. Give me a second. It's for section 9 of resolution, or ordinance number 2025-2742. The reason I brought this up here was because this is one of those, the whole resolution, both 3J and 3K is resolution or 2022-2672. 2022 is when this thing was passed. And it was part of the whole set of Pena rules, which were intended to actually stifle transparency, stifle thorough discussion. So for those that just arrived here tonight, or the last year or so, or since 2022, I just want to let you know that it was a silly rule that was made up to basically prevent me from bringing up items on the agenda about the city and its malfeasance, its corruption, its deception, its lack of transparency. So that's what this is about in the spirit of it all. But I also want to make mention that this particular resolution here didn't exist before. And that for that matter, every other city in Brazoria County doesn't have this silly rule. So I want to make sure everybody knows that in May of 2026, I will be stepping away from the city council seat because I will not be seeking re-election because the charter disallows it, to the chagrin of many. And so all I'm really trying to do is help clean house. That's both with staff that have been corrupt, and that's also with the ridiculous ordinances that were created by those actors. We all know who they are. You've heard them on my podcast. And that's really kind of the background of it all here. But, you know, you have the 3-month wait. The truth of the matter is that there's actually been a lot of fast tracking sometimes, even when things are on the agenda, that we didn't have thorough discussion. And that's the whole point of it. But yeah, you know, to me, this is just simple housekeeping, because you're exactly right. Another city councilman can put it on the agenda. But Why would you want to tie the hands of your city councilman? If you're a future city councilman, you don't want your hands tied for 3 months for something that might be urgent and valuable to your, the city or your ward. And that was really the whole point of it all, is that it never made any sense. But yeah, it's a simple house cleaning measure, and so that's why I asked for it to be on the agenda. And there are other items that have been fast-tracked that did not get discussed and need to get back on the agenda here in the next coming year. But to wait 3 months when so much information is coming at us, and you might think, well, you know, we'll just leave it to another councilman. Well, I think everybody can see that not everybody is able to take the time to do the research and/or, for that matter, residents and/or staff trust to reach out to and explain various issues that were brought up. You know, sometimes there'll be stuff on the agenda, and folks will say, oh, did you know this, that, and the other about that? Like, no, it would have been nice to know that prior to the meeting. See you in 3 months seems kind of silly. And that's really kind of the whole point of it all, is I'm just trying to provide some common sense approach to this, this particular resolution and making sure that it's cleaned up. And so I make a motion to remove the Section 9 of Resolution 2022-2672, and that's my motion, Mayor.
All right. Councilman Pena made a motion to approve removal of Section 9. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Councilman Davis. Council, any other discussion, questions, or comments on this?
Yes, Mayor. So I agree with Ms. Melanie Oldham and Ms. Bachman with their statements about this item. If it was a sensitive nature that pertains to the city, and it was defeated, but yet something new comes out, I'm pretty confident that another council member or the mayor would ask to have it placed back on with that change. And so I think this is going to take us 3 steps back instead of making us go forward like we need to as a city. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Councilman.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. I kind of see where you're coming from, but one thing you'll do is like no other cities. I'm not gonna say no other cities, but it's not too many cities. But pretty much, it's none around here that does this. And some items could be sensitive items, like the comment that he just made. And I've seen myself, you know, that we've had items that, you know, needed to be brought back up in a sensitive time per that council member, or, you know, that's our opinion or their opinion, but it wasn't brought back, because then they'll throw, oh, well, you gotta wait 30 days. You gotta wait 3 months. I mean, so, and if it was something that, say another council member or the mayor wanted, you know, to get done, and it failed. Well, if he bring next month some more evidence to the council to you know, get everybody on board, well, then he can bring it up again the next month. I mean, that shouldn't be, that shouldn't take a long time. I mean, we saying it's gonna stretch the meetings out. No, if you bring it back up and that's the only one person gonna make make a comment about it, and then the rest of them already said that they don't want to do it, so it's going to be no, no, no. And bam, you move on. You move on, but it's just some things that need to come back up that didn't come back up, and then you get to 3 months, and then other things happen. And so 3 months, and then you have a list that's got 12 items on it. Well, then it's pushed back again, and then now it's 6 months before it ever come back, before you ever come back up again. Or it just got pushed back to the back burner and you just forgot about it. I mean, but that's something that somebody in your ward, you know, a citizen needed to get done, or ask for you to get done, or, you know, just something, anything could be happening. I mean, that could be something that you want to get done. And it gets shot down up here, and then, oh, we can't bring it back for 6 months. You know, I mean, I think we overlooking it. I mean, overthinking it. I mean, it's not going to stretch it out to me. It's just, you bring it back up and it's no, yes or no, and you move on. So, that's my.
Thank you, Councilman. Council, any other questions or comments?
Mayor, I'm not arguing the merits or lack thereof for the 3-month rule, but I am looking at the ordinances and a couple of things that I just see in there that the deadlines looks like the number 1 on each of the 3 ordinances. They were pushed way forward, some of which would conflict with state law, depending, I think, on holidays. I'm not sure we'd be in compliance. An example would be on number 1, it talks about they have till, or council has till 12 o'clock on Tuesday to submit something.
Are you looking at J or K?
I may have jumped ahead.
Because we're still on J.
These 3 ordinances, Chris, what are they in reference to? Which item?
The J, the one we're on, is removing section 9, which is the one that states that the same councilman cannot put the agenda item for 3 months.
I don't know what the ordinances were.
Well, so,
Are the
okay,
ordinances
so-
for J? Or,
Councilman Pena proposed making 2 changes, changing paragraph 3, changing paragraph 9. So I presented to you 3 options. One is change 3 only, one is change 9 only, and one is change both. So that's why you have 3 ordinances in front of you. Now, the observations that you're making about, for example, 96 hours for a special meeting, which probably is not going to work with the new rule of the 3
No, that's
days
what I'm talking
posting.
about.
And some of those are other problems with the ordinance that are not on the agenda that probably need to be fixed.
no, this is, I mean, so if I
But
understand.
the only issue on this agenda item, as that we're discussing now, the only issue is, should we have a 3-month waiting period to bring something back on the agenda?
Yeah, and that's how I qualified what I was stating. I'm not arguing those merits, but if they're related to any of these 3 ordinances, I think there are issues with the ordinances. So if you're.
Yeah, those problems are already existing now. That's not new.
I thought the like number 1, they have till, like, it's the, well, Thursday, unless it's a holiday, then it's a Wednesday. That's not what's in this one. This is like, went back 2 ordinances, 2 resolutions back, unless I'm lost.
Oh, okay, I understand what
You
you're saying.
see what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
Like,
okay,
this is
so-
old.
right. The only issue under discussion is the 3-month delay. I used the prior ordinance that had the older language in it that's in front of you.
So these are defective or old. I mean, is that what you're saying?
Correct, correct.
Okay.
But we can still consider the issue
Oh, yeah.
is, do they want to continue the 3-month rule
They just
or
wouldn't
not?
be adopting any of
These
these
specific-
ordinances.
Correct.
Because they're, okay. That's what I was pointing at.
Thank you.
So, I guess to put a finer point on what Mr. Pennington's comment is that there's a lot of problems with this ordinance as a whole. And this is just part of that same cleaning up of it. So, yeah, it looks like we have timetables to address on this thing.
No, that's not what Mr. Pennington was saying.
Yep.
The ordinance that we have currently are lawful and good, okay? If y'all want to make changes in those, that's up to y'all.
Okay.
The ordinances in front of you that you would vote on would not be lawful, depending upon, for example, the first meeting in January. If someone waited to this deadline, it would not comport with, HB 1522. So that's all I'm trying to say.
Well, it sounds like we need to probably redo the whole thing.
That's the council's pleasure.
And
The
is one of
current
options
one,
here-
the current one's lawful
Yeah,
and good.
is the current one lawful but problematic?
And is the
We
reason,
can make a motion to just really abolish this particular ordinance and redo a new one.
is the reason we have the ordinance in front of us that we do instead of the original or the current ordinance, is that reasoning because of the way the agenda item was requested?
I think, Chris, if I'm speaking for you now, I think I'm speaking for you. You just grabbed,
I can tell you what I
you
just
just
grabbed.
grabbed the resolution 2 back and used it, right?
Correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
So again,
But we can still consider the issue, and yet, and the council can still vote on the issue.
That's correct. If y'all want to consider a motion or make a motion to strike 9 from the current ordinance or resolution, whatever it is.
And the change will be made on the current one, not the one that's in front of us. Correct?
yeah, well, I like that language to strike it. I think that's the motion,
We have a motion and a second on the floor right now.
to strike number 9.
Now, I would also like to say my 2 cents. I feel like the 3 months for the one councilman to put it back on is sufficient. The way the ordinance is written, if another councilman wants to add it to the next agenda, he can. Okay. If another councilman wanted to add it to the following agenda, he could. We could actually go over the same item 5 meetings in a row. 6, the city manager can as well, okay? And I hate to say it, but if we got to go over it that many times, the damn thing's not going to pass. If it was going to pass, then it would have passed on the first or the second or the third, maybe the 4th or the 5th time. So that's my 2 cents. I think it's ludicrous to take it out. And you are correct, Councilman Davis, that other cities do not have this, okay, but we're Freeport.
That's a terrible thing to say. That's a terrible thing to say, yeah. And we just heard that from the peanut gallery over here, that because we got Pena. Remind you, everybody, that it's me that actually cleaned up City Hall, and we're still cleaning up City Hall. And to think that because we're Freeport, that's an insult, Mayor, to the city. I mean, good grief.
Absolutely not,
It's a
Councilman.
complete insult because no other city has this rule. And you want to put the onus on me or the blame on me or the scapegoating on me, all I got to say is, we got a new city manager coming in. We have a new CFO. We've had another city manager gone before that because of the corruption that I brought up. I'm just trying to do another good thing for the future of Freeport city councilmen, and that's section 9. So, and never will we ever have something on the agenda 5 or 6 times in a row. That would just be irresponsible. Anytime anything's ever been on the agenda, more than anything else, it's actually been skimmed through. There hasn't been no thorough review. Just look back into the budget discussion we had back in August. The thing got curtailed Just remember all of the hiding of discussion for the port deal that we had. There was no thorough discussion in the public, but hey, this is why I bring this up. And we're gonna have this Section 9 to vote on here tonight, whether it stays in or not. It's not gonna stop me from sharing with the public everything that I know, or for that matter, as a citizen, holding city council responsible and accountable. And this is just one of those, a very simple step. It should be so revealing on how much pushback there is on something that's ridiculously simple. And that's all I have, Mayor.
All right. Council, any other questions or comments on this? Hearing none, I will call the vote. All those in favor to amend Section 9, state aye.
Aye.
All opposed, state nay.
Nay.
Nay. Councilman Russell?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-2. Next, we have agenda item 3K. Ms. Bachman, you still had some time. I pass. You pass? Ms. Oldham, you have 37 seconds. You gonna pass on it? All right. Agenda item 3K, discuss and take possible action to amend resolution number 2022-2672, section 3, ordinance number 2025-2742. Councilman Pena.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, this right here is another one of these Pena rules. Just as a little background on this, this was on the heels of Section 9 or around the same time. And the whole idea here was, prior to this resolution coming up, this is what happened. The normal thing happened. Every councilman just made a phone call or made an email to the city manager. Hey, I'd like to talk about this intersection in my ward. I'd like to talk about this baseball field in my ward. I'd like to talk about new and big things at the next council meeting. And the city manager would just do it. They would write it up, and it'd be on there. And, you know, if they wanted any feedback or any real deep conversation of the specifics, they'd pick up the phone or we'd go meet at City Hall. But never was anybody ever tasked, hey, we need you to bring all the research. We need you to bring all the engineering plans. Hey, we need you to bring all the metrics and all the math and all this, that, and the other. No, there was actually a very cooperative, cohesive culture. But again, once all the questions started being asked, it was like, all right, well, let's make sure we can limit the agenda items to making 2 councilmen. Okay, now let's make sure that they can't do it with every 3 months. Okay, now Section 3 talks about the paperwork that we're going to require them to have now. Never before. Again, another silly Pena rule. No other city does this either. No other city does this either. And so that's what's crazy here. And again, a common sense approach, just trying to clean up the stuff that doesn't need to be tying the hands of council from doing the job that we were elected to do. I mean, listen, we got some really exciting stuff coming up, and I guarantee you, I mean, I'm not gonna have all the schematics about some of the real estate development that we're looking to do, some of the sports activities and facilities that we're talking about doing. And I know that there are other councilmen that are excited about various sports facilities being installed here. I'm not gonna ask them to come up with a memo of all the details of how that whole thing's gonna be laid out. That's ridiculous. That's what the council meeting's for. And I just think it's a silly requirement that we have that in this resolution. So I make a motion that we remove Section 3 as well, Mayor. That's my motion from ordinance number 2022-2672. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion to remove Section 3 by Councilman Pena. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Councilman Davis. Any discussion on this, gentlemen?
Yeah. Well, this is another one, man. I mean, you know, just some stuff that I saw and I seen, and, you know, I go around and I go, once again, we have a council dinner every month with the Missouri County councilmen. All the councilmen, all around. We all meet and have dinner every month. So, you know, we build relationships. And I don't know, me and Russell don't even want to go. But, you know, but I talk to them, and they talk to me. City of Freeport is not the only one having problems. I'll put that out there. You know, we ain't the only one having problems. There's problems everywhere. But it's some stuff that we doing here. I mean, it seemed like it's you know, you are voted to be a councilman. You have the right to ask for information and to put stuff on the agenda and all of this. And it seems like it goes back to, you know, when Councilman Pena got sent to trial for agenda, something to do with the agenda. So a lot of changes start being made after that, you know. And then we go to trial, and he's acquitted, you know. So no disrespect, but yeah, this ain't other people. This ain't. I mean, to you, you know, you say, well, this is Freeport. Well, yeah, it is. It's Freeport, and I say only in Freeport that stuff like this happens. Like, we shouldn't have to go through this. We shouldn't have to do this. And it's if you look in the charter, it's a piece in there where it says the city manager, if you send something in and don't have the proper documents or information, the city manager supposed to call you and contact you and let you know what you're missing or what you need to add in here, or, you know, help you get it right. Well, that wasn't happening in the previous, when I got here, in the previous management. I'm not talking about Dan. I'm talking about the previous management. So it's things that I saw, you know, and it was just playing with the agenda. And as a councilman, you shouldn't have to do all of that. You're a councilman. You ask for it to put on there. The citizens ask you to put something on there. The citizens ask you to find out something. Well, that's why you got voted in, and you should have the authority to put whatever you want on this agenda and get it talked about and get it discussed. If it fail, it fail. But at least you tried, you know. So we got to stop handcuffing this agenda, and we're elected officials, and you have the right.
Thank you, Councilman. Council, any other questions or comments? I will state that, Councilman Davis, this being on here has nothing to do with the Pena trial. Okay. What brought this on is we had several meetings in a row where there would be an agenda item that looked similar to this, and it would have agenda item 3K, discuss and take possible action to amend resolution 2022-2672, and then the rest of it is blank. So we would come to the meeting, the citizens would come to the meeting. We know what the title is, but we have no clue what we're voting on. That is actually why this is in here.
I got a question for you after you get done.
Yes, sir. And even at that time, yes, the city manager, city staff is ultimately responsible for writing the agenda. Okay. But at that time, city staff would reach out and not get the answers that were needed, so they didn't know what to put on there. So we would come to the council meetings with a blank agenda, and this item would be tabled, the next item would be tabled, the next item would be tabled, because we don't know what we're voting on. Okay, that is the reason this is in here, and that is the protection. That way, the citizens know what we're voting on, what we're talking about. Council knows what we're talking about, what we're voting on prior to the council meeting, as opposed to just up here and, oh, that's what it is.
Yeah, let me, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councilman Davis, for allowing me to respond. You're misremembering the timetable on that, Jerry, because that's not how it went down. But let me try to just make it real simple on this here. I'm just trying to remove, like, I'm not up here stating we don't want to inform the public or council on what we want to vote on. What I'm asking about is the gamesmanship that's been going on over the last several years, the subjectivity of, depending on who asks, then the city hall staff helped. That's the problem that we've had in the city of Freeport, the gamesmanship. That's why I'm trying to make sure that we clean up Section 3. And for that matter, just remove it. Because at no point, I mean, if we have to come up with a new, I mean, actually, the rule's already there, you know. City hall staff will help to support it, and that's that. I'm just over here trying to figure out, you know, not figure out, but trying to clean up Section 3 so that we're not over here having our hands tied, being babysat, being stifled, and having these games being played where, depending on who asked, they get it on their agenda item on there and they bring their memos later. And if it's anybody else, you're held to the letter of the timetables that seem to have no real, what's the word I'm looking for? No real negative effect on the law or the process or the meeting, because there's sufficient time beforehand. And so, you know, we're talking about the deadline for Tuesday. So like, here's Tuesday, right? The new state law is, we got to have our agenda request by this coming Thursday. So I have 2 more days to put together an agenda request by noon. I got to come up with the language, I got to come up with a memo, and as many details as I'm possibly. I ask, is anybody here or any other city councilman in another city required to do that mess? Absolutely not. We're volunteers. We're not city administrators. We have people that we pay very well, very competitively, to do this stuff. So when I see that there's been this gamesmanship over the last several years, since 2022, by the way, this is why we want to clean it up. And finally, we have a council, a majority of council that actually has common sense, and I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate the common sense of the new staff that we have. I got to tell you, I'm super excited for December 15th, when we have Dr. Kelly coming in. So I know a lot of people will, oh, well, Pena voted against her. Like, no, I was voting for procedures, but make no mistake about it, I'll go on the record here yet again. Very excited that she's coming in and helping to help make sure that we clean up City Hall in the way we do the meetings, so that she's not over here having to traverse the nonsense. So again, this is just another common sense approach, and that's why I want to make that change to remove Section 3, Mayor. No further questions.
Any other questions or comments, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor, state aye.
Aye.
All opposed, state nay.
Nay.
Nay. Nay. Motion fails 2-3. Next, we have agenda item 3L. Discuss and take possible action to designate city representation for industrial district agreement negotiations. Councilman Pena.
Thank you, Mayor. The reason I have this on the agenda is because as most people know that actually pay attention to how the city of Freeport is financed, over a third of our budget, over a third of our revenue into our city that pays our bills, pays our staff, comes from the industrial tax agreements that we have with the various industries as our neighbors. And I want to make sure that, just like when we were negotiating with the port, that we have transparency, that we have representation from council in those meetings. And so I want to make sure, I don't know if we need to make any kind of formal action or anything else, but I wanted to make sure I put this on the agenda because those discussions, I want everybody to know in the public, are occurring. And they are occurring between the city of Freeport, the city of Clute, the city of Lake Jackson, and I can't remember if there's any others, but those three cities, ours included, need to make sure that we have the input from our own elected officials, our own representatives in there. And so I want to make sure that we have at least city attorney, city manager, and at least 2 city councilmen designated to be a part of every one of those meetings, because the last thing we want is to just get, oh, well, look what we got here. I mean, what backroom deal was done? Because that's exactly what happened during the port discussions, and that's exactly what's happened in other discussions in the past. And so I don't want that to happen with probably one of the most important negotiations that is a part of the city next to this Veolia contract that we're going to be discussing here in executive session. And I'm glad that we're going to be talking about it, and I hope that we'll have another opportunity to talk about it in greater detail so that we really get down to the brass tacks of it all. But this right here was intended, and I don't know if I need to make a motion and take possible action. Maybe I will. I'll make a motion to require that the industrial district agreement negotiations require the attendance of at least 2 designated city councilmen, the city manager, and the city attorney. Those 4 officials at minimum. And that's all I have, Mayor.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor that the city manager, city attorney, and 2 councilmen participate in all industrial agreement negotiations. That motion was made by Councilman Pena. Is there a second?
And to make a motion to ask a question, huh?
We got to make a motion to ask a question. Yes, sir.
I second.
Okay, second by Councilman Davis. Now, Councilman, you can ask your question.
All right, so the procedure to this, how it's going on, who's involved? See, I mean, that's something that we should get an update on. I kind of wish you would have waited till the new city manager got here so we can discuss that with her and her process, or, so what's our process? Like who's in the discussion with these industrial processes?
Currently, representing the city of Freeport, I've only been to one. Has there been any other one?
Wasn't any negotiation.
It was just-
Cities meeting.
Say that again, please.
Yeah, the mic.
There was no negotiation. There were 3 cities meeting. Clute, Lake Jackson, and Freeport met and talked to our appraiser. There were no negotiations with any plants, any facilities.
Right.
Yes.
So,
And representing the city of Freeport was our interim, Mr. Pennington, Chief Howell, myself, and Mr. Duncan. Okay, Mr. Duncan was also there representing Clute. The city manager of Clute and the mayor of Clute was there. City manager of Lake Jackson, the mayor of Lake Jackson, and I think assistant city manager of Lake Jackson was all in attendance.
So that's just my question. I'm just in the process, and who do we have, going to the table? So negotiation hasn't started yet, but y'all have started meeting. I mean, maybe as cities. So us as councilmen, we should get a update on that, every now and then. So, but that's just something we take up with the next city manager. That's why I say I would wait till the next city manager come in. But and then y'all get deeper in the process. I don't know if y'all just had one meeting or that's fine. I mean, but we're gonna need to be in on some conversation on that.
Yes, absolutely. And once discussions get going, then yes, we will be discussing it on a pretty regular basis in council meetings. In fact, when we had the meeting, the only thing that really came out of it was that each of the cities, if you correct me if I'm wrong, signed a resolution that we are going to continue with the agreement. Is that correct? What that resolution was?
We're going to continue with the negotiations, and I think or continue to start the negotiations, because there's been no negotiation. And I think to try to seek the longest term deal possible, which is 15 years by law, but go ahead, Chris, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and also the three cities, met together, and that was part of the resolution. All three cities passed the same resolution, just to a statement to the public that the three cities are united, working together in negotiations.
Mr. Duncan, you've been through this negotiation before, either with Freeport or Clute, possibly, or is this your first go with this?
This is the first negotiation with Dow, because the previous one was 15 years. So, yeah, I wasn't here 15 years ago.
Okay. Council, any other questions or comments?
So, no other councilman from Clute or Lake Jackson was there?
No. Council, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I will call the vote. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
All opposed state nay.
Nay.
Nay. Motion fails 1-4.
I only heard 3 nays.
I'm sorry?
I only heard 3 nays.
Nay.
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 Thank you. Aye.
That brings us, ladies and gentlemen, at 7:49 to our work session. Councilman Pena, Ward A.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody that came out tonight, as well as that tuned in, either tonight or will tune in later. And for those that volunteered for the various boards, thank you for your interest and your commitment. We looking forward to you guys attending this on as a required basis for your membership on those boards. I just have a question here. Why we have been sitting on the P&Z board selection And I think that one's been out for a while, why that one wasn't on the agenda, and I want to make sure that that's on the next meeting for December 15th. Do we have any applications for P and Z at this point?
I'll have to check.
Can you come to the mic, please?
Hi, I'm Ron Bachman, and I'm on the P&Z Commission. At the last meeting, we only had 2 people show up, so we didn't have a quorum, so we couldn't even talk about who we supported. But a lot of it was the same people that y'all were looking at tonight, just off the top of my head. Except for Margaret, she didn't care about P&Z.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's what's happening there, so we'll, at our next meeting, I'm sure we'll consider it, y'all will have it back here.
A couple other items here. Residents have reached out to me previously and wanted to follow up on it, was the striping for the crosswalk for the junior high at 288th and 4th, right by the Circle K. They're crossing the street to go over to Arlen's, and for that matter, crossing the street to go over to Circle K, and there's no street markings on that, especially the one going across 288. And wanted to make sure that we also address that just the same way, with the same sense of urgency as we are with the 4th and Pecan intersection. Also, I wanted to ask where we were on the 25 acres, the park, over here off of 2nd Street, with the illegal annexation by the resident to use the park space as their own personal storage, and I was curious where we were with that. There's some other residents asking about that, so I want to make sure I follow up on that. I'm not sure if we have an answer for that from code enforcement.
That would fall under Chief's, and I don't see her.
Chief out there? All right, well, I'll follow up with emails. And then, of course, we have this event here coming up. Oh, let me just also state that kudos to Ms. Laura Crane for getting CenterPoint to clean up some of the power lines in downtown. Much appreciated. Again, really grateful that the requests that we're making here as a council to City Hall are actually being responded to and acted upon, and the results are being revealed. So I wanted to make sure I made that announcement. That was an email that I was going to send, but I thought I'd go ahead and mention it here tonight. I know there's an event here this weekend for the Christmas on the 6th, and one of the questions was whether or not the on the main street tree lighting ceremony, there's going to be vendors and whatnot, and just curious if the vendors are still allowed to be a part of that. I got contacted today seeing if there's still ability for them to be a part of it. Do we have an answer on that from anybody?
I'll get with Maria. I'll get with Maria tomorrow and find out.
Okay, thank you.
You're specifically asking those that haven't already signed up?
Correct. And then I know here we have a cold week here ahead, and I'm just curious, are there any efforts being made by the city to help those that are in need of shelter during this cold week? Are we doing anything to provide any warm places, or is strictly a cooperation with the Salvation Army? Do we have any information on that?
Chief Motley, do you have an answer for that?
Cooperation with Salvation Army.
Cooperating with Salvation Army. Thank you, sir.
No further comments at this point.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Davis, Ward B.
Right. Once again, appreciate everybody for coming out, and everybody who volunteered participating on the various boards that we have. Congratulations to the new board members that we have. We're excited to have y'all on, and we wish y'all the best of luck. This is on the main road here, down by, after you pass the church, what's that, First Baptist? Right here, when you pass the intermediate school, in the medium, in the middle, we got some lights, they got some lights out. Resident been complaining back there, it's real dark back there, there's 2 lights, the ones that's in the medium. Right before you turn, I mean, in the middle, after you pass the church, and then you can turn and go on to, what is that? 8th Street. Yeah. That light right there, and the one right next to it is 2 lights that's out. I know them are text dot lights. When you get somebody to get in touch with them, they've been out a long time. One of them is actually even laying down in the middle of the medium in the grass. It was for a long time, but see if we can contact somebody and get them lights fixed. Also the fishing pier right here, it looks like the lights had went out on that. I know I seen one of the green lights out, but the white lights at the top, the tall ones that's at the top, they hadn't been on. It looks like they went out. That thing is used every night, you know. I mean, yeah.
Lights out there.
Right. That's a hot spot, and the citizens really been using that pier there and the River Place Pier. So we want to make sure we get somebody out there to check them lights and, you know, make sure our fishermen so, you know, comfortable. What else? Oh, that's it. No, well, yeah, that's it. Well, we're excited, you know. Next meeting, we'll have a new city manager. All right, it's been a long time coming. She has experience, and we're just excited to see what, you know, her vision has in store for Freeport. So we thank God for sending her our way, you know. I think, you know, we're gonna make some changes here, and it's gonna be good for Freeport. It's gonna be good for Freeport vision, all that housing and stuff we're talking about. Well, hopefully it's coming. You know, we got some other projects that's gonna be working on and presenting to the public here shortly. You know, we're gonna need the public backing, and you know, it's something invested in our youth. So, coming soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Matamoros, Ward C.
Thank you, Mayor. So I just have two quick items. I received a couple of phone calls today about a social media post with our Senior Citizens Commission Christmas party, where they're using a out-of-town vendor, Bayou Boys from Needville. And these restaurant owners were asking why we're not utilizing Freeport restaurants. We do have a few of them that would have loved to have catered that. So if we can get an answer to that, please. And then I don't know, well, I just want to thank Dan for all of his hard work that he's put in and helped us move along. And it's truly appreciate all the times that I've reached out to him to inquire about issues. He's relayed it and then given me prompt answers. And then he's also, if I've had any questions, he's been able to give me answers on those. So I truly appreciate it, Dan, for all the help that you've given me in your short time here. Enjoy your retirement. Hopefully your wife will also enjoy your retirement. But thank you. Happy trails, sir. Godspeed.
Councilman Rosso, Ward D.
Yeah, I'm like everyone else. I appreciate people outside the world, people that comes to these meetings every first and third. Appreciate your your comments and your complaints. I want to remind us about the celebration. Invite some senior citizens out. I've gone to the last 2 or 3, and it's pretty festive. That's another thing I'm excited about. The most wonderful time of the year, Christmas time. The city's starting to look festive, and I wasn't able to go to the Thanksgiving feast, but everybody that I talked to said it was pretty good. I haven't heard any different. We do good on that thing, on that feeding all those people. Freeport, I think almost everybody in Missouri County knows about that. Was this December? Yeah, December. I want to remind everybody about the MLK parade that's coming up in January. Some of the things going to be done at the end of this year. Banquet, church service, essay. You're welcome to come, and especially for the young kids. That's all I got, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. I would like to start off in Ward B. Our trash days are Monday and Thursday. Thursday, of course, they didn't come by because it was Thanksgiving. But whenever I got home this afternoon from work, trash cans are still sitting outside. Ward B. So can we reach out to AmeriWaste tomorrow and find out what's going on? It's a long time not have trash run. I too would like to congratulate the city and those that were involved with the Super Feast. I also was unable to make it, but everyone that I spoke with said it was just one heck of a turnout. Mr. McGinty, I know you're really involved in it, and I appreciate what you do. I point Mr. McGinty out because I know he is, and I apologize if anyone out here also participated and helped, but I just know he did, so I pointed him out. New city manager starts the 15th, which will be our next city council meeting, which means that there'll be someone different sitting in the seat next to me. And Mr. Pennington, I too wanted to thank you for stepping in and stepping up. Your professionalism, your honesty, your integrity came in a time of need. And we appreciate it. Wish you the best in your retirement. And you're welcome back to Freeport anytime.
Just real quick, I really wanted to thank council when they unanimously allowed me to step in on an interim basis. I appreciate the citizens that have helped me, and I'm very appreciative of the staff, especially at City Hall. They've been great to work with. I am going to miss a lot of the people that are here, and I will be coming back to visit some. So anyway, that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Hey, can I say something?
Thanks, sir. Yes, sir.
And as you brought that up, I just brought to my attention, I mean, it came to my memory, a citizen, came up to me. We were eating at a restaurant, and it was a story about you. And it just flew by that this your last meeting. So I want to say thank you, and we thank God, that you were sent here because we was in a time of need with the knowledge that you have and the things you brought to the table here for us. But the citizen came up to me and said, man, I'm always complaining. Every time you see my name or something, I'm always complaining. He said, but I want to tell you something about that intern city manager. He said, I was riding around looking, and how the grass looked and how this and this looked, and he said, I'm leaving out of Freeport, and see, that's the type of stuff he don't want. He ain't looking for no flowers for this, but I'm just gonna give it to him. And I heard he was a workaholic anyway, but they say he was leaving out of Freeport, and then so he said somebody was weed eating in the Freeport, where the Freeport sign was at, and when you come into Freeport, and he said somebody was out there weed eating. It was a man and a woman. And he said, and so I pulled over, because they wasn't no city workers. So I'm like, why is y'all, see, that's a shame. Why is, the city workers not out here weeding? He said, and I get out and I asked them, hey, how y'all doing, this and that, this and that. And he introduced himself or whatever. And he said, and you never believe who it was. He said, it was y'all city manager, Dan, and his wife out there weed eating in the interest of Freeport. So, hey, salute. I mean, that's a different breed. Them the type of people that we need in Freeport. We would hope that rub off with some of our, other management team or something would seen that. But I mean, so, hey, enjoy yourself. I mean, I guess you can have some good times and you can have some, some rough times, but, you hung in there, and we appreciate everything you've done, man.
Thank you, sir.
All right, with that, ladies and gentlemen, it is 8:07. We are officially going to close the regular session and open executive session. Executive session regarding A, Texas Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with attorney to discuss and take possible action on the Veolia contract.